Hi, and welcome to Higher Rock Education. Economists frequently use the prisoner's dilemma to demonstrate how hard it can be for two rational people to reach the best outcome when they rely on others. Christina and Skycia were recently arrested for robbing Absolute Advantage, a convenience store. They're also suspected of robbing a second store, Comparative Advantage, but the evidence is insufficient to convict them of the second crime. We pick up our story when Laura, the detective, and her boss are reviewing her interrogation strategy to get Skycia and Christina to confess to robbing Comparative Advantage.
Tell me about Christina and Skycia. Laura, do we have enough evidence to convict them?
I am confident that we have enough evidence to convict Christina and Skycia of robbing Absolute Advantage. But I'm not sure a jury is going to be convinced that they also robbed Comparative Advantage. I suggest we try to get one of them to confess by offering each of them a plea bargain. They should serve 6 years, but without a confession, they'd only serve 4 years. We should drop the sentence to 1 year if either confesses to robbing Comparative Advantage, but only if the other criminal did not confess, and increase the penalty to 10 years if either denies robbing Comparative Advantage while the other confesses. If both confess, they each will spend 6 years in prison. I think that's enough incentive for them to confess, and they would end up serving more time.
It's very important that they don't speak to each other in between interrogations. Who would you like to speak to first?
Skycia.
Great. Good luck.
Thanks. Have a seat, Skycia. Skycia, I'm going to get right to the point. We know you are not only involved in robbing Absolute Advantage, but also Comparative Advantage. If you confess, and Christina doesn't, we'll reduce your sentence from 4 years to 1 year. If you don't confess, and Christina confesses, you'll spend the next 10 years behind bars. Finally, we plan to give the same opportunity to Christina, and if you both confess, your sentence will be 6 years.
It is pretty obvious that they need more evidence to convict us of the Absolute Advantage robbery. Right now, I expect to spend 4 years in jail. But I can reduce that to 1 year if I confess and Christina doesn't. But I can't trust her. She'll probably confess to try to reduce her sentence. If she confesses, I would spend 10 years in jail. I want to spend 10 years away from my family. I guess my best option is to confess. You know, you were trying to get me to admit to a crime we did not commit.
Your lawyer is going to have to convince a jury of that.
Okay, I confess. But I was just there. Christina actually held up Comparative Advantage.
You won't regret your decision, Skycia. Now let's review the details. Well, Christina, we just interrogated Skycia, and we'll provide you with the same opportunity. We know you are not only involved in robbing Absolute Advantage, but also Comparative Advantage. We are looking for more evidence, but we will find it. If you confess right now, and Skycia didn't, we'll reduce your sentence from 4 years to 1 year. If you don't confess, and Skycia confesses, you'll spend the next 10 years behind bars. Finally, if you both confess, your sentence will be 6 years.
What did Skycia do?
Christina, we're not going to share that with you.
I wonder what Skycia did. She probably denied the crime. So if I confess, I could reduce my sentence to 1 year. But if she did confess, then I would serve 10 years if I deny the crime. In both cases, it makes more sense for me to confess, even though I would get 2 more years in jail. Let me get this straight. You're telling me that if I confess to a crime I didn't commit, and Skycia doesn't, I will only serve 1 year in jail. But if she confesses and I deny my involvement, I'll spend 10 years in jail? It seems to me, either way, my best option is to confess, even though I will increase my sentence from 4 to 6 years. Okay, I confess. Skycia and I held up Comparative Advantage.
The prisoner's dilemma can best be illustrated with a payoff matrix. Each of the options are contained on the matrix. Christina's responses are purple, while Skycia's responses are in green. Let's work through the table to see what the best response is for Christina if Skycia either confesses or denies involvement in the second robbery. First, assume Christina believes Skycia will deny involvement. This is the first row of the table. Christina could reduce her sentence from 4 years to 1 year if she confesses. She prefers that to serving 4 years, so her best response is to confess if she thinks Skycia will deny committing the crime. Now, let's look at Christina's decision if she thinks Skycia will confess. This is the second row of the table. Again, it makes sense for Christina to confess because she prefers a 6-year sentence to a 10-year sentence. Confessing is Christina's dominant strategy. Economists refer to a dominant strategy as the best strategy no matter what the other player chooses. In other words, no matter what Skycia does, it makes sense for Christina to confess. So, let's complete the same analysis for Skycia. First, assume that Christina denies involvement in robbing the comparative advantage. Skycia's options are shown in the first column. If Skycia thinks Christina will deny, Skycia should confess and reduce her sentence from 4 years to 1 year. Finally, assume that Skycia believes Christina will confess. Look at the second column of the table. Again, Skycia would benefit from confessing because she would serve 6 years rather than 10 years. Like Christina, Skycia's dominant strategy is to confess, and she should confess no matter what she thinks Christina will do. Her choices are summarized on the table. Therefore, the most likely outcome is for each robber to confess to the second crime.
To learn more, please visit our website for our free economics lessons at www.higherrockeducation.org. All our lessons include text, interactive exercises, review questions, and a related scripture lesson. Thank you.